Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So today we're going to be diving into the December 24th FOMC meeting. You know, the one where they decide what's up with interest rates.
Right.
We've got some interesting excerpts from this 360 NNDD 1024 FOMC.pdf document.
Some pretty significant stuff in there.
Yeah, and I think there's some key things we really need to break down for everyone listening so they know what's going on and how it might affect them.
Absolutely.
So one of the first things that jumped out at me was this whole growth momentum idea. They're saying the economy is showing some real strength.
Yeah, the FOMC, they're actually pretty optimistic right now. They've gone so far as to revise their growth projections upwards, which is, a pretty big deal.
So what does that mean for, the average person? What's growth momentum look like in real life? More jobs, businesses doing better, what?
It's kind of all of that. If you're looking for a job, good news. This growth momentum, it means there are probably going to be more opportunities out there, particularly in sectors like tech. Healthcare is another big one. Even renewable energy is seeing a lot of growth.
That's good to hear. So if you're thinking about investing, does this growth momentum signal like a good time to, I don't know, put some money in the stock market?
It could be, yeah. I mean, when businesses are feeling confident and they're investing and growing, well, that often translates into positive movement in the stock market. So, yeah, worth considering.
Okay, so that's the good news. But then I see all this stuff about inflation, and it doesn't sound like that's going away anytime soon. They keep using this phrase, sticky inflation. What's that all about?
It's basically the Fed acknowledging that bringing inflation down is proving to be a lot tougher than they initially thought. It's like, when you try to peel off a really old price sticker, you get some of it off, but there's always this sticky residue left behind.
Oh, I hate that.
Right. So that's kind of what's happening with prices. Even though the Fed's been trying to slow things down, those prices for, well, everything, they're probably going to stay high for a while.
Okay, so if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, great, my grocery bill is through the roof, what can you do about it?
Well, I mean, there's no magic bullet, unfortunately. Waiting it out is going to be a big part of it. But, maybe this is a good time to be extra careful with your spending.
Right.
Look for sales, maybe try some different brands, and really think about what you need to buy right now versus what can wait.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we've got growth, which is good, but we've also got these high prices sticking around. What else is in this report?
Well, this is interesting. It looks like the unemployment rate is projected to be even lower than they initially expected.
Really? So more people working. Isn't that a good thing?
It is, yeah, usually. Lower unemployment typically means more people have jobs, which can boost the economy. It can also lead to higher wages, which is great for workers. But, and there's always but, it can also potentially lead to wage pressures, as they call them.
Wage pressures.
Yeah. Basically, when there aren't as many people looking for jobs, employers sometimes have to offer higher wages to attract and keep people. And you know what? Those higher wages, they can sometimes contribute to, you guessed it, inflation.
Ah, so it's like a seesaw. One side goes up, the other goes down, or something like that.
Exactly. It's a balancing act, trying to keep everything in check.
So growth, inflation, unemployment, it's all connected.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to something that I think a lot of people are curious about, interest rates. I see something in here about a dot plot and potential rate cuts in the future. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. So the dot plot, it's basically a visual representation of what each member of the FOMC thinks is going to happen with interest rates. Each dot is like a little prediction of where they think rates should be. And what we're seeing is a bunch of dots suggesting that rates might actually go down, like by 0.5 percentage point.
Okay, so 0.5 percentage point, is that like a lot?
Well, it's not insignificant. That's what they call 50 basis points. And it could have a real impact on people. For example, if you're thinking about buying a house and interest rates go down, well, that mortgage could become a little bit more affordable.
Right, because you're paying less in interest.
Exactly. But on the flip side, if you're thinking about investing, lower interest rates could mean you're earning less on things like savings accounts or bonds.
Wow, so many moving parts here. If I'm trying to sum this all up, it sounds like we've got an economy that's doing well, growing, but inflation is still a problem. We've got low unemployment, which is great for jobs, but it could make inflation worse. And then there's this possibility of interest rate cuts down the line. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, no doubt. The economy's in this kind of in-between phase. Things are changing, and it makes the financial decisions you make, well, even more important.
Because depending on what happens, things could go one way or the other.
Exactly. Think about it. These factors, this whole mix of growth, inflation, potential rate cuts, it all impacts your savings goals, your investments, anything big you might be thinking about buying. It all matters.
So it's not just about understanding these big economic forces, it's about understanding how they could actually affect your everyday life. That's a really important takeaway.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And all of this, it raises a really important question for everyone listening. Given everything we've talked about today, what can you do now to be ready for whatever comes next? Think about that. Should you adjust how you're saving? Maybe look at your investments a little differently? These are things worth considering.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. Great advice. Well, we've covered a ton of information today thanks to you. You always make these complex topics so clear. And to everyone who tuned in, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Keep learning, keep exploring, and as always, stay informed.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.